Welcome back to the Pull the Chair podcast brought to you by the Grit Network. I am your host, Paris, and with me, my co host, Tyler. Wow, you are Tyler now. My, co-
Oh
my,
God,
my co host, Dylan. How you doing, man? Dylan, Tyler, we
doing
got a bunch of Tylers in this show again.
yeah. Now we're mixing up names here. I mean, Tyler's unfortunately not here today. It's just gonna be a two-man show today. But I mean, I'm overall excited. We're finally down to the last week of the regular season. I'm sure next week we'll be talking about our awards prediction and finally
Mhm.
getting into these playoff times. We're still in the speculation mode, but all in all, I couldn't be any more exciting for considering how many crazy games have been happening this past week.
Oh yeah, we definitely got to get to that. There's been some crazy games. We had a Spurs and Nuggets matchup. I got to see more of that. Yeah, the Hawks against the Knicks. Really, Hawks kind of proving themselves. I mean, they've had a great year, but go up against a top team in the East, and they put up a game with them.
Yeah, I'm getting a little
Obviously,
worried about the Knicks, no doubt.
uh, uh, we'll get into that. And
We'll talk about it
obviously,
later.
the college national championship just ended with Michigan beating UConn, and I had UConn winning it all. So like, I won my bracket I was in because a guy I was facing that was had the farthest had Arizona winning it, and Arizona got embarrassed against Michigan in the last
Yeah,
week. So
I mean, this Michigan team was definitely one of the best teams the whole way around, like the whole way from round one of the playoffs all the way through. Like they're making light work of a lot of their early teams they played against, and I definitely do think that UConn Duke game last round definitely and also the buzzer the buzzer beater definitely took a
ooh,
lot
UConn,
of that
baby.
energy. So. Like, they definitely had a roller coaster ride to get here. So, I mean, all in all, Michigan is just one of those. I mean, they're both blue blood teams, but I mean, as far as like money being brought in specifically for sports, I don't think there's any college better than Michigan right now. They're involved in just about every college sport you can think
Yeah,
of. So,
football not for all the best reasons though. I say that. Hey, they football team.
they won a championship even with the controversy. It's
That is
like.
that is true. The Big Ten right now, college sports is starting to run things right now. They kind of taking over football, basketball. They just kind of doing their thing right now. Like I said, UConn. That shot was lucky. Wow, what a lucky shot. You can always count on Duke to do something stupid to lose you a game. That's why I never have Duke winning it because I know something will happen and they'll lose, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean,
But
that was their
Michigan,
best chance. Like,
yeah,
funny enough, there was a trend that was going on where every single time Duke played St. John's and beat St. John's in the bracket, they went on to win the national championship. So they
yeah.
somehow found a way to, get defeat out of the jaws of victory, and give it up one of the most devastating buzzer beaters this decade. So,
Guy from Indiana,
yeah.
my guy. But I mean,
Represent.
Michigan, golly, they are just one. They have a 7 foot Jokic type dude out there. That guy, that's annoying. That's just annoying to face. And then the rest of the team's just athletic, man. It's a bunch of athletic dudes. They were averaging 7 blocks a game in that tournament, and I saw it. God, honestly, it was annoying as a fan watching the game. I couldn't be imagine being a player. Every shot you put up, either somebody's on your face, or it was getting blocked. It was like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, as dumb as like basic as it sounds, defense will always win you championships. And when you're a team that could force turnovers and stop easy shots, like when when they couldn't make the shots they needed to make, Michigan sure enough was going back the other way,
Yeah,
quick change of possession and getting those transition points. So it was just all around. I mean, I, I'll give props to UConn for keeping it a game as long as
yeah.
it did because it could have gone out of control and they made sure to at least keep it exciting. But it kind of just seemed like Michigan had control.
Well, you kind of went on a little run right at the end where you thought it was going to happen, but then that one turnover at the end when they stole the ball and then couldn't hit a layup and then turned the ball over, I was like, yeah, man, that's. And then Michigan just went down to the front of the court and hit a three. I was like, well, that's game right
Hmm.
there, guys. Even at that
Yep.
moment. So that's off the Michigan. What a great run for them. UConn have a good fight. At least it's a much better game than Arizona did. So I'll give them that. It was a much better game. They kept it close. Michigan was blowing out teams. But let's get to the NBA, starting with a guy who just came out of college, Cooper Flag. What a rookie year for this man. The dude is the Mavericks. Cooper Flag. is the Mavericks everything. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, leads it all for the Mavericks.
I mean, yeah, he's been spectacular. I mean, like Mavericks are as lucky as they are for getting the opportunity to to draft him after the diabolical trade that we keep on talking about. Um, but he's the first person to lead his team in all four of those categories since Michael Jordan. And the fact he's doing it as a rookie only
Yeah,
makes it that much more impressive. I mean, I do remember with Cooper Flagg, especially at the beginning, like they didn't quite know how to play him too well. They were trying to play him as a point guard kind of player because they
I
really
remember that.
couldn't. They had to figure out an identity to how to play with Cooper Flagg, but now he kind of grew into more of the wing role he needed to be, and
Hmm.
he's just doing everything. I mean, plain and simple. And
Cooper
um,
in
it's
his
and
rookie year.
also
Good.
sorry, one more thing. Being the youngest player to ever score 50 points in a game is also a crazy, ridiculous thing to do at this level.
And he's done it. I mean, he's dropped 50-point games, 40-point games. He's done it numerous times. And not even just one big game. He has multiple games with dropping 40. I mean, the game right after he dropped 51, he dropped 45. Like, so this guy,
Hmm.
I mean, he's scoring. And I mean, on the season, he's averaging 21 points a game, a steal a game, a block a game, just under 5 assists a game, and 6 rebounds a game. I mean,
He's living up to the hype, man, because especially when he was in college, he was the youngest dude on the court and he was the most dominant guy on the court. And
yep,
once again, he's doing the exact same, but now on the highest level in all of basketball. And, it's not easy. Because again, like usually, like even for a rookie, even if you're like the best rookie on your team and you're maybe even the best player, you need vets. You need other players to lean on when things aren't going your way. And I look at this Mavericks team, and I don't see that. I don't see where the help is. I mean, Kyrie was supposed to be that guy, but he blew out his foot in the playoffs, and and then like he's missed the whole year, so he couldn't even be that guy to. I mean, I'm sure he was off the court, but like
right.
on the court to help, you know, not make Cooper Flagg the entire load bearer of this team. And granted, this Mavericks team wasn't good this year. That's not a surprise, but like again, he was the difference between them being the absolute worst team in the league to like a team with a bright future that is maybe one or two acquisitions away from getting back to where they used to be.
Yes, I mean, and he's doing this in a rookie year and still shooting 47% from the field. But like the dude is also he's accurate. It's not like he's taking a lot of shots and missing. He's making the shots he gets. So it's I mean, it's what a crazy year. And again, what a year with no Kyrie. Again, a bad team, but Cooper Flag didn't make the team at least watchable. You can go watch the games because Cooper Flag's out there.
Oh,
Cam Christie also looks good, so I do like that. Obviously, get
Max
Kyrie back.
Christie.
Yeah, I keep saying Max Christie. Cam Christie on my 2K season. My bad, guys. That's on me. Max Christie. I do like Max Christie. He is really good. So I've been liking to watch him. They get Kyrie back next year. Obviously, they're gonna have somewhat a top pick. Is this team at least competable next year? I'm not because they at least sneak their way into a play-in next year. You think?
I need to see how free agency lines up for them. Like I'm not quite ready to really like make Mavericks the darling of next year. Like they still have a lot of holes that they need to fill. I mean, I feel like Kyrie's on his last leg, so you're
Yeah,
definitely gonna need your next point guard to really facilitate this team. And I mean, I like Derek Lively, but when you look at him from his rookie year when they went to the finals to now, you could definitely see there's been a little bit of he hasn't been progressing like how
he
you
really
think he
hasn't.
would. Like, now he's looking like someone that could have been your future big to maybe someone you just let go when his contract is done because Daniel Gafford is arguably better than him and he's smaller. Like
Much smaller.
he's
Yeah,
so like and then it's just like I'll never trust Chris Middleton. I'm sorry. He's too late.
he's
Klay Thompson can still shoot, but it's like you need more defense. You need a true point guard, and then we could talk. Then maybe I'll consider the Mavericks a potential playoff team, but they're still a ways away.
I gotcha. And before you even get to the next topic, I just want to mention this. We've talked a lot about teams tanking this year, and obviously this we haven't really talked about the Mavericks just because the Mavericks weren't tanking; they were just bad. I want to mention this Pacers starting five from yesterday, guys. So the Pacers obviously been tanking. Man, it's pretty obvious he's been tanking. granted, we didn't go into the year with that thought. I'll firmly stay on that. We didn't go into this year thinking this was a tank year.
Mm.
We obviously we lost Miles Turner. Honestly, thankfully lost Miles Turner. The amount of money he just got from the Bucks to be to still be Miles Turner, he's just okay. I'll take it. And we got Zubac, a more traditional center. I'll take it. And but Nembhard went down, Neesmith went down. Every point guard you can name on the team went down. We signed a bunch of 20 different point guards, released all the point guards we signed. It was a weird year. So we didn't start off tanking, but we definitely went into tank mode quickly.
Well, since we're on the tanking talk, like a couple days ago, I went to a Brooklyn Nets game on Easter when
All
they
right.
played the Washington Wizards, and I'm sorry, I just gotta to read off this lineup because we want to talk about one of the all-time worst lineups you could possibly
Oh God.
have. Wizards, they had Watkins. I couldn't tell you his first name, but he was like
Okay.
one of their best scorers. Bub Carrington,
Okay.
Leaky Black,
I know the name.
Reese. Don't even remember his first name, but dude named Reese.
He's
Anthony Gill.
funny enough. Reese is one of the quickest players to 100 rebounds. I did see that. That dude can get some rebounds.
Yeah, he did have a nasty double double. I do remember him actually putting up a good stat line when I watched him. But like again, who? He was a G League guy for most of the year. Anthony Gill. And then now we go to the Brooklyn Nets of Norman Powell, Liddell, Wilson, Johnson, Traore. Like I'm talking about like when I was at the game, they were showing G League stats to be like, hey, this guy scored 11 points per game in the G League.
Yes,
Like,
sir. Yes, sir.
like I quite literally watch a G League game in an NBA arena. It was by far ridiculous. I
our
kind of see where they're making points about the tanking, but it was just
our
bad.
lineup 2 days ago, and again, I don't know what our lineup is today. We're getting spanked by the Minnesota Timberwolves. For our lineup 2 days ago, we had Quentin Jackson at point guard, Ethan Thompson, I have no idea who that is, at shooting guard, Kobe Brown at small forward, Jalen Slauson, I don't even know who that is, at power forward, and Micah Porter at center. And Micah Porter had a 21-12 double double. Like,
Eh?
okay. All
Eh.
right. What a
This
lineup, guys.
Yeah, I mean, this time of year, you're gonna see some random crazy stat lines from dudes that otherwise wouldn't be putting up these stat lines. So yeah, at least you can have the appreciation for the random double double.
Right? I'll give him that. I was like, okay. And funny enough, it was against the Heat, a play-in team. He put up a double double against, and we beat him. Like,
Yeah, here are another problem. They have not been playing well at all.
but
We
that goes into a question that we're gonna bring up. Shouldn't Mac McClung be on a team? Like, okay, these lineups. Granted, these players that we're watching right now, probably half of them don't get to play next year. But Mac McClung's what, a two-time G League MVP, and you're telling me he can't play on one of these teams? And again, Mac McClung was one of the people we signed. He was on our team for 2 games.
well,
We signed him for like $15 million and then let him go in 2 games. It was when the Pacers were doing weird things. We did like 3 different people. We signed random people, signed him for like 10 years, $10 million, and it was like, oh, he's gone in like 2 days. It was a weird moment for the Pacers.
I mean, yeah, I like honestly, like it's so funny in Mac McClung because we see him in the All-Star game every single year, and they have to advertise, um, I mean, like just like they're advertising him for just being the crazy dunker and someone that'll go out and kind of just be the show. And then like he just gets sent back to the friggin' G League. Like, and this is just like clockwork every single year. This year, Mac McClung averaged 31 points per game on 20 shots. He averaged 7.9 assists per game. And I mean, keep in mind he's 6'2", 185. So like
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about a slightly taller Trey Young build. So I'm
Way more
my
athletic though.
Oh yeah, I mean
Way more.
like I hold on, now I gotta check his steals count because like maybe he's playing a little bit more defense. Like yeah, I mean he averages a steal give or take every year, so like he's not a total defensive liability. I just it does surprise me when we see the spotlight on a dude like this much and he just doesn't get a fair shot. Because like this isn't like a second or third year guy. He has been now in the G League for 5 years. And you're
Yeah.
telling me he's not good enough to start on a lineup? Not, he doesn't even have to start, but just be a reliable rotation guy off the bench. Like, be a Payne Pritchard who will just be a nice little six-man scorer off the bench. Like, you're telling me you can't even do that? So, maybe with the expansion, maybe Mac McClung will finally find a spot somewhere when you
Okay,
know,
yeah,
talent
that's true.
gets moved around, but I don't know, it's just not looking good for him despite the gaudy numbers he puts up against G League guys.
In his last 4 games this year, um, fourth game with the was with the Bulls. He faced the Pacers, and then he got traded to the Pacers and played against the Pacers. He had 11 minutes where he had 8 points on 3 for 6 shooting, and 2 rebounds and 1 block. First game of the Pacers, he didn't really do much. He only played for 5 minutes. He still got an assist though. And in the last 2 games, he had 11 minutes and 10 minutes. He had 9 points with 9 points in 11 minutes, 1 assist, 1 steal, and then in 10 minutes he had 5 points, 2 assists, 1 steal. I mean, like,
He's impact guy. He's
yes,
impacting the game, you know? Like there's many guys that you wish you could put up anything in 10 minutes and just about any time he gets put on the court, he's making something happen.
all right. So it's like it's not like he's gonna come in and be a crazy player, but I mean, you have a spot for somebody like that off the bench. I mean, that off the bench for 1 and 2 on a year where you have injuries. You have somebody like Mike McClung come in. You're not expecting him to lead a team, but hey, now somebody's injured. We need you a couple more minutes. You can at least we know you can fill a spot. It's not like he's terrible. He can do something. He can score. Again, he's athletic. We've watched him win a dunk contest, so we know he has that, and he can shoot. So it's like, okay, he has something. That's not you can't do that. Not every NBA player can do that by themselves. So it's like he could fill a spot at least, you know?
I'm just thinking the only way I maybe it's just his play style just doesn't like flow quite well because we've seen guys like a Cam Thomas for example where
Mhm.
when he's on the court he becomes the most ball dominant guy. And
Yeah.
you know again that works when you're one of the best players in the and when you're like the main guy on the team you want to be the ball hog. When you're a
Mhm.
guy coming off the bench that doesn't work. That's
Right.
just that's not that's like you have to be a lot more someone that moves the ball around. And Cam Thomas showed that sure he was able to score, but he couldn't quite work well with other people. So maybe that's what it is because Mac McClung's just like he can do stuff, but he can't work well with other people. Maybe like that's where my
Possibly.
mind goes. But again, I'm like making assumptions when every other sign points to him should be at least rotation guy in the league, no doubt.
I think he deserves a shot at least for like at least give him half a year off the bench and see what he does. I'm not saying the team needs to pick him up and sign up for a year, but I want to at least see half a year this guy comes off the bench getting, 15 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes a game, see what he does. Obviously, again, if he doesn't work out, cool, you can get rid of him, send him back to the G League, trade him, whatever. But like, give him some time. I feel like he can at least do something. He can at least be someone off the bench. It's not like we're not telling somebody to be a starter. We're not telling him to be a six man. Just hey, point guard needs a break. We need another guard. Hey, here you go. We need you for a couple
And
minutes.
when and we've seen where certain players they just think that they are the star of the show. Like I think of like the D'Angelo Russells of the world. I think of the DeAndre Aytons,
Yeah.
where both decent to solid players, but they both had their moments where they felt like they needed to be the main guy on the team. They grew up being that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hit that wall, a talent wall, especially when you reach the pinnacle where it's like, all right, I can still do something. I can still be a contributor on a team, but I have to accept that I'm not that guy. And maybe Mac McClung hasn't fully accepted that because he can still be that guy in the G League. He's that guy.
Right.
So
He's
maybe he
right.
just wants to do that. Maybe he just likes to be that guy in the G League. But I'm sure he wants to be in the NBA. Like like he's
Yeah.
not doing this just to sit and sit on a bus going 8 hours to freaking travel to your next game. Like he wants to be one of the big players in the game and maybe it's just it doesn't quite add up, as far as like the skill he shows in the G League compared to NBA talent players.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just one of those left behind guys.
Last thing I want to mention on Mac McClung, and it has no shot against him. Should G League players be allowed to be in like a dunk contest?
I mean, look, man, we've seen so many NBA players decide they don't want to be in it. So it's like now you're just saying, let's just not have the dunk competition. We don't have enough players that want to do it. Because, like, we've seen I mean, again, when you have Matt McClung that friggin' wins it as a G League guy, like it's not a good look. Like you have him in your
Right.
G League jersey for the NBA All Star game, and you're doing better than what the NBA could offer. And it's like obviously it's not the best of the best. It hasn't been the best of the best in so long. But like when we see the stars actively pass up on it, it's like how many times are we gonna keep on doing the same playbook and just fail time and time again? So at least give him the NBA recognition so that it
Right.
doesn't look so bad, you know? Like it looks a little
Right.
bit better. Man, okay, he only averages 10 minutes per game when he plays, but boy, can he freaking dunk, you know? Like at least he can do
I mean,
that, you
yeah,
know?
that's true. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't remember exactly, but when Aaron Gordon 2016 year, was he even a starter? I don't think he was a starter yet on this team. Pretty sure he was still
He
coming off the bench because he was young.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
mean, like a lot of these guys, even Zach LaVine, when he was playing on the Timberwolves, like he didn't
mhm,
become like he wasn't the main guy in the Timberwolves, but man, he was athletic and put up a great show for the dunk competition. Like
right.
that's what it should be for. I mean, we of course we want the obviously LeBron's too old, but for years people were begging LeBron to go into the dunk contest or the Anthony Edwards, the John Morants that we
Hmm.
see them be explosive and or Zion Williamson. Right? Zion Williamson should have been a slam dunk competition guy from his rookie year, and for
100%.
whatever reason he refuses to even do it, whether it's a health issue or otherwise. So. I mean, I just think that the competition is just a failure at this point, and they need to figure out like another way of doing something else. But they're so entrenched in how they do the All-Star game that besides the actual game itself, they're so set on the skill competition, the three-point competition, the dunk competition that they don't want to even think about any other changes. So I don't know. It's tough. It really is tough. I don't know. I don't know
It's
how
just
you
weird.
can fix it.
It's weird having somebody just RG League or champion for the dunk is a player you can't even watch on the NBA. You really like him? Well, he's not on an NBA team. Okay.
Yeah.
All
I,
right.
or like, what about the year when they had the skill competition? It was just the Antetokounmpo brothers as one of the teams. So you had Giannis, you had
Uh-huh.
Thanasis, and then
Uh-huh.
everybody forgets about Alex. Alex
Hmm.
is a G League two-way guy that actually plays back of the bench minutes, but like when they were showing him with his brothers, he was in the G League jersey because that's what he is. He's a
That's how
G
he
League
had,
skill
yeah.
guy. So I mean like it's not new, but it's definitely not the best system either. That's for sure.
Definitely not. Well, let's get to man. It hasn't been rough the end of the season for the Lakers. So we were funny enough, last podcast we were just so going back for a minute, we were talking about how the Lakers aren't going to do anything. They were, their team doesn't look good. They're going to get be a first round exit. And then in the last podcast, we were talking about, hey, this Lakers team could at least beat a team like the Rockets because they're looking much better. Now we've done circled all the way back because of injuries to this team's probably gonna be a first round exit. You got Luka got injured, and then right after Austin Reeves gets injured, so it's back to LeBron. Back to LeBron. What 40-something-year-old LeBron, who's I mean, again this year, I mean at his age is having a great year still, but definitely has taken the more, hey, this is a Luka team. Let him do it. I can do whatever he needs me to do. But now Luka, I said Luka and Austin Reeves go down. Luka now on his being injured, being out for the rest of the season, we don't even know he's going to be back for the playoffs. Gets injured on his 64th game of the season. And the rule of you have to play 65 games to get any award. So now because of that one game, he is not in the bait to get an MVP award. So a lot of people have been talking about this because again, it's one game. This dude, stat wise, we talked about it last podcast. Stat wise is on the exact same train as Shy, who's front runner with Wimby as a MVP candidate, and now we can't even talk about Luca because he misses the game. Now we've talked
Yeah.
about it, so obviously we can. I'll get your thoughts on what you think with the 65 game rule. Luca's protesting it because he's missed 2 games due to what his son being born. Which I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that should be allowed. Like, and I'm okay with a rule. I'm perfectly fine with it being a rule of how many games you can play. 65, I get. You can say it's kind of pushing it. I believe I've looked at it. I think it should be around 60 or 61 because 61.5 technically is 75% of the games. So if you play 60 to 61 games, you've played basically 75% of the games. I can take that. I think that's what the limit should be. I can understand how 65 is okay. You playing around 80% of the games, but I do at least think Luca should get this exception because I mean his son's being born. You missed 2 games. That's not gonna happen every year. That's a very excusable thing. You can look past.
Yeah, I mean, at every turn when we talk about the 65 game rule, I've been firmly against it. And for a multitude of reasons. I mean, this is the perfect Luka Doncic is the perfect example of when I talk about like this rule being dumb. This is the exact reason. Because, we are because especially with 65 games, like being 80% of the season is not easy. I
Yeah.
mean, like we look at someone like a Luka who was clearly pushing through an injury. Like he was purposely playing through injury to get to this arbitrary number so that his season can be validated. And when you are on a 33 and a half points per game year, you are the scoring champion. You are the reason the Lakers have been relevant all season outside of a prehistoric LeBron, going right now. Like because Austin Reeves has barely even played this year.
Yeah.
He's been out for half the year.
Hmm.
So when we saw the Lakers going on as hot of a streak, it was because Luka was putting up 60-point nights. Like, this is nothing new. Luka, that's what he does. He puts a team on his back, and whatever team he's on, they go as far as he goes. And now that he's down with this injury, I mean, luckily it's only a strain, it's not a tear, but
Hmm.
this is going to be a nagging injury that he's going to be dealing with if he comes back for the playoffs, which he definitely will play through it. I mean, there's no reason, like, as a competitor, and, this is, he's going to want to come back, and he's definitely someone that wants to play. Like, he's not someone that, like, he's passionate. He loves basketball. Like, this is what he loves doing. So he's going to do everything in his power to try to be as good as he can be. But when you are pushing through injury just for a dumb rule, just to have your year be validated, like hypothetically, he's not the scoring champion because he didn't hit the 65 games. And the fact that in the first year of having this rule, you already have like an exception to said rule, which is a fair reason. I'm not gonna say like when if you're gonna have the birth of your child and you want to be there for that, of
Right.
course, by all means, that's a great excuse to miss games. But now again, now in the back half of the season, because he was dealing with other injuries this season. Like it wasn't just that. I mean, like he had a couple injuries that he was out for a while, and now again dealing with an injury. You're getting to the playoff time where you're a third seed. You have these thoughts that maybe this could be the year where if you get the ball bounce your way, you could go on a run, and now you're done for. Now your season's done because now you have to rely on a 42-year-old LeBron to carry the Lakers in this friggin' first round. And look, LeBron's averaging 20, and he still has those vintage LeBron games in him. If I'm not mistaken, just a couple days ago, he had like a 25-point triple double. So
Yeah.
again, we're not saying he's totally washed here, but if you're expecting LeBron to put a whole team on his back at his age and God forbid they have to go 6 or 7 games, like he's just not going to be he's not going to be the LeBron of old. Like he's had several games just in the past couple of weeks of just like 12 points, 14 points, 18 points. And granted, of course, he's being the sidekick to Luca all the way through, but now you don't have those safety nets. Even Austin Reeves, when he plays, is very well, but now you got to look at Marcus Smart. Now you got to look
Ronnie J.
at Bronny James, who does not look like a real NBA player out there. He's just lucky to come from LeBron himself and be the junior. And again, a ragtag crew because the Lakers just are a broke franchise that can't put a real team around their stars. So yeah, I mean, like this team is cooked beyond belief.
Well, two things I want to mention. For one, do you really think Luka was playing through injury just for the awards? Because how I see it, I think he was playing through it because if he wasn't playing through it, the Lakers wouldn't be here. Because without Luca, this Lakers team wouldn't be number 4 seed. This Lakers team would most likely be in the sixth, maybe a play-in team. But with Luca, they're up here. So do you really think he was playing for it for the award? Because I think it really had to do with the team. Without him, the team wouldn't be here.
I mean, like I think it's a mixture of both. I do think that if this 65 game rule didn't exist, he would have been sitting out more of the recent games. And like now, like, especially where he was, like when we start going, like, just about a month or two ago, you start getting to that 65 game watch where, like, you're
Hmm.
keeping track of who's close to making it, who's not. And Luca was on that list of players that are borderline, like, he could only miss two more games for the rest of the season, and he still had 20 games left. And it's not easy. I mean,
Yeah.
again, basketball of all sports, you're nonstop running, you're nonstop jumping, you're nonstop pivoting. Like, you're doing a lot of stuff on a night to night basis that's like very like, destroys your body. So
Mhm.
like you need those rest days. And I know I'm gonna hear the old heads be like, "Oh, back in my day, you could play 82 straight games and have three games in a row, and come back another week and still play another five." But like these same dudes, like Luka Doncic was a professional at 16 years old. People back in
Yeah.
the 80s was not
Yeah.
treating sports as a true profession. Like you were still like nowadays kids are forced into these sports at 8 years old, play year round, nonstop wear and tear on the body where a lot of players get burnt out by the time they even hit college. And now, they go into the league and then, once you start getting the injury bug and injuries become an every year thing, like they don't just disappear. Like Luca has had a long list of injuries and that comes with the wear and tear of playing all year round, all the time from a young age. So I think these players should have more grace.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have the rule, I'm staying firmly at 55 because the
Okay.
bar
That was
should
gonna be
be
my next
low.
question.
The bar should be low, and like, look, just because you get to the 55 games doesn't mean you're in the running for the awards. Likely you're not. Usually the players that get these awards are typically in the 60s, anyways. But if we make the bar impossibly high, like we're gonna be scratching our heads looking at these All NBA teams, wondering how some of these players made it, and it's because a whole like 5, 6 players that should be in these talks are just not gonna be in it over dumb rules.
So I'm just looking at it because obviously that was gonna be my next question. Is one, do you? I guess you said if we're gonna have the rule, do you think the rule should exist in the first place?
No. I, I,
Okay.
I think this rule only helps the owners so they don't have to pay crazy money on max players. I talked about in our group chat earlier in the last week where um when you get these extensions for these super maxes, they depend on the awards that you get, and that factors into your eligibility. So someone like a Zion, John Morant, that got early All NBA nods, and then were given $250 million contracts, and now are super injury pro. I mean, Zion's had his most healthiest year finally, but
Yeah.
for years he was getting clowned on for getting injured and being fat. And then John Morant, for various reasons, not just injuries, can't get on the court. And now the Grizzlies are forced to pay them all this money, and he's not worth the contract they were giving him. So I think that's why they made the rule, rather than just some like, oh, the players aren't playing. Because we're seeing the teams purposely not put their players in. We could talk about the Bucks. We could talk about the Bucks and how they're getting investigated because they refuse to play Giannis.
Oh, this whole Bucks thing. No, they shouldn't play Giannis. I behind them. They shouldn't play Giannis. Dude's injured. Oh, I'm okay. Okay, go sit down. What's the point of playing us? What's the point of playing Giannis? They're gonna, of course, they're gonna investigate it because everybody's so big on this. Not everybody. Adam Silver is so big on this whole tanking thing this year. But when it comes down to the last 10, 15 games, you're a 20-win team. Yeah, I'm not playing Giannis. What's the point of playing Giannis the last 20 games? Oh, he might get re-injured.
Well, it's just crazy because Giannis says he wants to play because like I
I'm
feel
sure
like
he does.
we always get the other way. Like every time we talk about the players and them not playing, we always just assume that they don't care, that they don't have the passion they want to play, and they rather just sit out and collect a free check. But in reality, it's a two-way road because if it's true that Giannis has been healthy, he's been trying to play, and the Bucks, whether they're right or wrong for not playing him, is up for discussion. But or refusing to play him despite him being healthy is the exact opposite of every single measure that the NBA is trying to do to stop this. So
Yeah.
we should definitely give the players more grace and more of an opportunity, like at least some kind of leniency, because 55 games is borderline 65%,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
that
I
sounds
just looked it
low.
up. It's 67. Yeah, 67% of the games is 55.
Yeah, which I mean is still a good amount of games. That doesn't mean you're gonna be guaranteed an award, but at least the low thing where we don't have these players forcing to play through injuries just to make an award. Because of course Luca wants
Right.
the MVP or first team All NBA because he's the scoring champion. Oh no. And now if he doesn't get the awards that he deserves, is he not the scoring champion despite him scoring 33 a game? Like, we can't even call him the scoring champion if this doesn't hold up. And now we erase his year. We erase Cade Cunningham's year when he had a
Mhm.
borderline MVP season. So and again, these are guys that hit the at least 60 games. Like it's a good amount of time, but because they didn't hit 65, oh nope, sorry, nope, didn't happen. This
I
year season didn't happen. Sorry.
I think there should be a rule, but like I said, I can 100% go down to 60 because you play 60-year games at 73%. I mean, I was all for the 75%, 73%. I mean, it's right under 75. And I mean, 60 out of 82 games, that's you missing 22 games. But again, you're playing 60, you're missing 22. That gives you a good amount of time. 22 games, you have 3 weeks of games you can miss. That's just under a month of games you're capable of missing. I mean, injuries are going to happen. I think there should be a rule in place just because say somebody has a great year, but he only plays, 55 games. And the other competition is a guy who's really similar, but he's played 70, 75 games. That guy with 70, 75 games should get it over somebody who's played like 20 games less. Okay. There's
Yeah,
a big
of
difference in
course.
averages.
But like, and as far as a voting committee rule or not, would put the guy with 75 games in favor regardless. Like, when you look at the history of MVPs, I remember we went down this whole rabbit hole a couple of weeks ago, but
Mhm.
Giannis, when he went to the finals, he hit the 65 games and he won his MVP. One of LeBron's MVPs wouldn't have counted if the 65 game rule happened then.
Yep.
So, like, it's still. I mean, I just think it's a dumb rule because again, it's just like I don't think it's put in for the right reasons.
Yep.
Like it's not gonna want to make the players want to play more. If
Mhm.
anything, it gives the teams reasons to sit out players sometimes, even if they are healthy. I think it's
You
like,
could do that. You could
yeah,
do that.
someone in a contract year that maybe missed a lot of games early on in the year, and now your team's not relevant, and like this guy could be an All NBA guy, but you sit him out, and now he doesn't hit his 65 game rule, and then boom, you get him on a cheaper contract in the off season because the team that's another thing with these contracts where the team that drafted you has the rights to pay you more money than any other team. And
Mhm.
again, it's a sliding scale based on your merits and what you've done in your contract. So, I mean, I could just see so many ways that the rule can be used against the players, or you know, and again, it's like now because I mean, again, all these players they want to be recognized for how good they
Mhm.
are, and the last thing you want to do, especially when your team's making a playoff push and looking to be a real contender, is have your star player force themselves to play games, get injured, don't even hit the milestone anyways, and now
Right.
your season's pretty much done. So, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's all around terrible for the Lakers.
Yeah, that I can understand. Like I said, I do like the idea of just at least having a limit, but I can at least put it down to 60. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point of if you have it so high, if a team could use it against the players, because obviously this is for players to play about games. But yeah, if you come to a contract year and you're like, hey, you're too close, I'm gonna bench you. That's something I never even thought about. So I mean, I can see where that could have an issue. But going now that we're talking about all these MVPs, let's talk about what just happened. I'll let you at least lead with this, with the Hall of Fame inductees, because this happened during the Final Four just this Saturday. Um, they announced the Hall of Fame inductees for the 2026. And like I said, I'll let you go ahead and lead with this, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a pretty well known secret that the Naismith Hall of Fame is kind of a joke. I mean, I understand the well meaning of wanting to have a full encompassing of the sport of basketball and having Hall of Fame inductees. And they have a nine people made it. And keep in mind, I say people because it's not all players. And we've seen the NFL, we've seen baseball induct coaches or maybe GMs for their
Mhm.
involvement. But I mean, we could talk about the Mari Stoudemires of the world, or Candace Parker and Elena Delle Donne, who are both icons in WNBA. But
Mhm.
I can't stop looking at Doc Rivers as a coach, currently coaching, being in this Hall of Fame.
Currently coaching.
You have Joey Crawford, a referee, making the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. I don't care how good of a referee you are. They, you're, they should not like they should be in the contributors committee with Mike D'Antoni because he's also in the Hall of Fame. Granted, not as a coach, but as a contributor to the game. And for
Yeah,
people that don't know Mike D'Antoni too well, he was someone that had, stints with the Suns, stints with the Knicks, where, they were very good in the regular season and were notorious of falling apart in the playoffs. And
the
kind of like a
Rocket.
Doc Rivers role. The Rockets, another team. And, like, again, Mike D'Antoni was the coach, and these teams all had fantastic offenses, but when push came to shove, these teams fell flat in the playoffs. And Doc Rivers is so lucky he had that big three Celtics team in that NBA championship. Because without that year on his resume, he would not be coaching the league now, let alone being in the
Yeah,
Basketball Hall of Fame. Because
yeah.
everything that I said about D'Antoni, the Clippers are, I mean, the Doc Rivers is on a 10 on that scale. If you want to talk about those Clippers years with the Lob City crew, we could talk about the Sixers years with a trusted process, and you had probably the most the Sixers could have ever wanted on those teams. You couldn't get past the second round. Um, the multiple 3-1 collapses that Doc Rivers personally saw, on the court, and
Hmm.
now still coaching, mind you, is now in the Hall of Fame. And then, I mean, there's also a few other, Mark Few of Gonzaga. That's the one coach here that I'm like, all right, that's fair
More,
because
yeah.
because
Gonzaga came out of
Gonzaga's
nowhere and just started dominating college basketball. I mean,
and he's
dominating.
been doing it for years. I mean,
Hmm.
Mark Few has been coaching a Gonzaga team forever, and they've always been formidable with him coaching. And
Yep.
again, Gonzaga people would not be able to tell you where Gonzaga even is.
Trust me, I had
Not
to look him up
so.
when I first heard about him. I was like, who is Gonzaga?
Yeah, I mean, like, you only, like, again, if you're really tapped in with NCAA basketball and the March Madness, you know all about Gonzaga 'cause they've had quite a few runs and won the, NCAA championship a few times. So I'll give it to Mark Few for being a fantastic college basketball coach. When I look at the majority, so, I'd say of the nine, I would give it up for Stoudemire.
Okay.
I'd give it up to Candace Parker and Ella Della Donks. Those are both like I don't know WNBA. I'm not gonna clown the Women's Committee for their inductees because I can't I don't know much about them. But that's it. I'll give like the 3-4 spots, and then everybody else should wait for
Yeah.
next year. Like I mean,
I
like
mean,
D'Antoni should be on the forever list.
Doc Rivers as a coach while coaching in the Hall of Fame. How's that even? He
But
going to
like
somebody who's still coaching.
he was solid at college basketball. He was in the NBA. So if you want to give it him as a player, maybe fine.
Contributor, man. Hey, we put him as a contributor
Yeah,
in the
throw him
league.
Mike D'Antoni, man. Give him Mike D'Antoni. Same lot. But putting him in as a coach when he's still coaching, like Blake Griffin got snubbed. Why isn't Blake Griffin in the Basketball Hall of Fame? I mean, it's already like a low bar to get in, anyways. Like, I would put Blake Griffin as far as like, you know, being the Clippers style of
Hmm.
play, and they had some good runs. He's had some fantastic years. So, I mean, Blake Griffins will get it eventually, but I'd put him in over a Doc Rivers or a D'Antoni, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking I was looking at Maury Stoudemire because I feel like you can make a debate if Maury Stoudemire gets in or not. And but I mean, great, he was a good player. He was a great, really good player. But it's one of those Hall of Fame. You really consider him a Hall of Famer, but I mean, NBA, you're a good player, you're a Hall of Famer. I mean, like, it just kind of,
Yeah.
oh, you're a good player, Hall of Fame. That's good enough for us. But and I mean, Mike D'Antoni, that was Mike D'Antoni with Amari Stoudemire. That was him. And as we were kind of talking about it before this, they basically made the 2K type of offense: pick and roll, shoot, and make the pass. And that's all you see in video games now. But they did that very well. And I mean, Amari Stoudemire was really good with that. Doc Rivers, oh, yeah, man. Even when he retires, it would be hard for you to admit Doc Rivers is a Hall of Fame coach. Granted, his beginning coaching career, we'll give it to him. He had a good start. Obviously, the Celtics, yes, he did coach that team, but the team was already there. He already had the team. But again, we can give it to him. He coached the team, and then he made the conference finals 2 years later. So okay, cool. Again, started the career, cool. But then you go from Clippers and onwards. The Clippers team, as you mentioned, last Clippers team was just disappointing. They were such a good team with Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, Blake Griffin. That team should have at least one of those years made it. Never did. And as you said, not even they make they had all those they run leads and blew it every time. So get rid of that. The sad thing is people forget about that team nowadays. Everybody thinks of the Thunder, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. The Heat with LeBron. The Warriors came out. It's like the Clippers get forgotten about because they never did it. You just forget about that team
Yeah.
existed. And then, he just ruined the 76ers Joel Embiid. That was supposed to be something. That never did anything. Obviously, Joel Embiid gets injured a lot, but still, they had something that never did anything. So it's one of those, yes, you've coached a lot, and so you've won a lot of games, but ever since 15 years ago, he's been an okay coach, and nowadays, he's a terrible coach. That dude
Yeah.
sucks as a coach now, so
I mean, like, if your whole coaching career, you have one coach a year and one NBA Finals, and there are many coaches that have that qualification. So now you're telling me Ty Lue is going to become a Naismith Hall of Famer because of him winning a championship, being coach of the year with LeBron James. Because that's where the bar is at. Like,
yep.
with Mike D'Antoni, he did revolutionize the offense, like the
Hmm.
7 second or less, like get throwing up threes more than twos. Like his Rockets with James Harden was the first team to ever shoot more threes or twos, and
Yep.
we've had this whole 3 point revolution. I mean, Curry is the one that put it over, but Mike D'Antoni was starting it before
Yeah.
anyone else because
Hmm.
even those early 2000s years and the early 2010s, like teams were not chucking threes like they chuck threes now. And
Yep.
we have seen that when you're a team that shoots a lot of threes and makes a lot of threes, you're bound to win games because just three is worth more than two. But then on the other side of the coin, you when you have those games and you're not making those shots and you're forcing terrible threes, now you're 20 points behind. The game is done. And we've
We saw
seen
that,
with D'Antoni teams that he just
and we
they
saw that with
fall
the
apart.
Celtics in the playoffs last year too, when they were just chucking up threes last year, and they had that stretch what they hit what they shot like 106 threes in 2 games, and they were not falling. Yeah, so I mean, it can come back to bite you if you're missing. If you're missing, that will come back to bite you really bad. But I mean, it has
Yeah.
revolutionized the game. That's what you see nowadays in general from teams. You shoot threes. That's what you do. You run up the court. Oh, I have a wide open layup. I'm shooting a three. That's what you do nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like you could give me a whole 24 hours. I couldn't tell you how Doc Rivers revolutionized the game of basketball because he definitely. And again, I love him for that Celtics championship that 1 year, but that's all. That's what his legacy lives off that one. And he's coached before too. He coached the
Hmm.
Magic years in the early 2000s. Like he's been coaching for over 20 years. So if there's like some kind of lifetime achievement award for just sheerly being in the league long enough, sure, you could give him an award for being there long enough. But like,
Right.
I mean, baseball, like you could just not make the Hall of Fame if you don't even hit like 75% of the vote. And there's so many both in the football Hall of Fame and the basketball Hall of Fame, there are several players in both those realms that are very worthy of being in the Hall of Fame and aren't in. And it's very vice versa in basketball, where as long as you hit like a 10 to 15 year mark in your
They'll
career,
just make
your
it.
odds of making the Hall of Fame are extremely high, way higher
Hmm.
than it needs to be.
Yeah, it's we've talked about that funny enough a lot in the group chat. It's just kind of free reign because they always like, oh well, he's 15th, he's top 15 in points, he's top 20 in points. Yeah, he played for 25 years. Yeah, I'm sure he is top 15 in points. He played for about 3 decades. That's kind of duh. Yeah, you're gonna hit that. So like,
It takes a certain level to have that long of a career. Like I can't
right.
totally disparage, but it's like your legacy is not going to be as fondly remembered. Like people are going to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame. They're going to look at the immortals of basketball, and then you're gonna see Doc Rivers and Mike D'Antoni smiling next to each other, and you're gonna be like, who? Like 10, 15 years from now, so many people look at Mike D'Antoni and Doc Rivers and not know who the hell either of them are. Like
You only remember Doc
even
Rivers for this Bucks blow up and how he's holding this over the Bucks' heads now. I'm a Hall of Fame coach. I won a championship. Hey, oh,
yeah, I mean you couldn't a worse guy. You couldn't have given a worse guy a big ego boost when he's terribly decimating the Bucks. Like someone that is two contracts too late for still being in the league and is still getting jobs and still finding ways to blow up teams.
And then going to our next topic, and I'm gonna let you lead with this. There's a potential NBA European merger happening in the next couple of years. Within, from what I've seen, with by 2027, so next year possibly, have a big NBA European merger. I've heard.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting because I've this is something that's been kind of going into effect for a year now, but now it's getting actually serious where by like 2027 I was seeing
Hmm.
by some reports where now there have been serious investments from teams in London, from Germany to Spain to, all over Europe because, European basketball has come a long way. I mean, we've seen in the NBA nowadays where almost all of our best players are coming overseas.
Yeah.
And not to mention when you have the dudes like Giannis and Jokic that end up being diamonds in the rough just because we don't have good enough scouting in Europe. Now the NBA is willing to be backers for like a super league essentially. For the people that follow soccer, you probably remember a couple years ago where there was a super league trying to be formed with all of the best like teams in all of Europe, and that fell flat because European fans are very passionate about soccer and they
Oh
like
yeah.
things the way they are and they don't want that change. But with basketball, they don't have that same legacy. Like your FC Bayerns in the world, your Barcelonas and Real Madrids have basketball teams, but
Hmm.
basketball doesn't have the same juice over there. And basketball is reaching a point of like international where it's getting played from America to China and Japan to Australia to Europe. And now, with the NBA backing and FIBA, which is like the FIFA equivalent, is now saying like, hey, you guys could look into making a league. And now they're getting bids from 500 million to well over $1 billion. It's not just like, oh, people are interested. People are actually putting money down to set
Yeah.
up a league. So now that begs the question. We're gonna have. I mean, again, like they're gonna have their own basketball league. They're gonna kind of make it like a European kind of thing where you have a relegation, you have promotion from the
Mm.
lower leagues in. Like they are making this like the real like Premier League of basketball.
Okay.
But if NBA is gonna have backing, you know, are we gonna start seeing some kind of international league going on? Are we gonna see some kind of summer ball where we start seeing like a
Yeah.
Champions League kind of thing? Like, I think these are valid questions if this league goes through.
Definitely, you could see like the champion of the FIBA facing the team of the NBA, seeing how that just pan them together, see how that goes. You could do something like that.
I think it's really cool because, like again, like a team like Real Madrid, for example, one of the biggest soccer teams in the world has their own basketball affiliate. That's where Luka Doncic came from.
Hmm.
He was playing for Real Madrid at 16 years old. And now we're looking like even like Athens, Greece, where I forgot
That's
what team is over there, but again they have one of those. They had Greece has a basketball league. England has one, Germany has one, Spain and France, and now it's getting serious because once they start putting numbers up for actual team offers, like from my understanding, it's looking like a 16-team league where you have a couple
Mhm.
relegation spots, and then they get relegated back to their own leagues and get brought up. um, it definitely seems evident that NBA is really trying to turn to a more European style. And also
All
another
sports
theory.
are
Because
going
again,
because
I got the
NFL's starting to do the
tinfoil
same thing.
hat. Yeah, I mean, I got the tinfoil hat right now because especially with European soccer, they don't have a draft. They don't have a traditional style draft. They have transfers where you could buy a player off, you agree to a contract, and boom, they're
Hmm.
on your team. You don't have to
I've
worry
seen that.
about ping pong balls or a lottery. If the NBA starts integrating with the FIBA and doing tournaments, will we have the draft be dead? Will we start having transfers of different teams? Like, I feel like these are
Yeah.
things that, are potential. They're potential opportunities.
The question I'll bring up, which it seems like I think I know the answer. I think I know the answer. And maybe we don't know the answer because it's coming something new. Since it's obviously it's doing all these international teams. Does that mean like some NBA players would play in that league too, or are they gonna? It's not like gonna be. They're gonna have that two separate. Like you can't play them both.
No, no, they're definitely not going to be able to play in both because
Okay.
I think it's just a simple logistical thing where, I mean, like I'm pretty sure these leagues all run at the same time.
Right.
But
Okay.
I mean, if the NBA is putting their name on the league, I don't think it's totally impossible to be like, hey, uh, Joel Embiid, have fun in Athens. You just got bought out for 50 million pounds, and now you're playing in Athens, Greece,
Yeah.
because you know you're
Yeah.
just watching the NBA, man. I mean, have fun, man. Have fun in the European League, but someone bought out your contract. You're
Just
on your
like
way.
how what Patrick Beverly went overseas a year or two ago
Oh
after the
God.
coach.
Well, he's playing in Israel. That's a different story. I don't think anyone wanted him if he's playing for an Israeli basketball team. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't think Israel's known for their basketball. They're known for many other things. They're definitely not known for basketball. Um, so you know that's a different thing. I don't think they have any strong way of getting into. I mean, again, I'm not going to rule out money talks. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, it seems like it's a very European-esque, very European focus where you're seeing the highest level of basketball teams kind of making their own league, and also there are like Manchester was specifically in the article where I'm assuming a Manchester United basketball team could
Yeah.
be formed if they
Yeah.
put the bid in, because obviously they're like the Yankees or the Cowboys of soccer, where
Hmm.
they have all the money, they have the legacy, and they don't have a basketball team. And considering that Manchester specifically is putting a bid in for this league, we could see some very new teams from other legacy soccer
Yeah.
teams putting in their own basketball team just to be involved, because they're not involved um like the Madrids, the Barcelonas, the PSGs, and whatnot. So
So that's a cool. That's just a cool idea that I know you want to talk about. So have you? That's why I'll let you lead this one. But I mean, like I say, for all sports are trying to go international. Obviously, MLB. I think MLB was probably the best with international because we see it, and they have all types of international players. But NFL, obviously, we keep having international games. They want to incorporate it in that international team, which you're going to debate how well that would be just because of all the traveling. But obviously, that's where they're trending, and now the NBA definitely trending that way again with the NBA, the top players being international players in the first place. I mean, why not do that? That's best players are coming from there, so why not
and
do
I
something like
think
that?
and I think what makes it special about what basketball is doing is because especially with the MLB and the NFL, they're so stuck in their own ways. They're still like very like how things have ran. They mostly keep it the same. Sure, they'll put games overseas, whether the NFL likes London games or going to Mexico or Germany or
Mm,
whatever. And baseball in the off season for spring training, they go around the world to play against international teams. But I none of them have been willing to make a league elsewhere. They've done
yep,
like scouting related things where you could go to the special facility and train and try to come to the MLB or to the NFL to play, but what the NBA is doing is making their own league. They're making their
yep,
own European league and putting their name on it. So, obviously the NBA is going to be making money off this European league. And again, it opens the door to a whole new way of thinking about American sports because every American sport has the same concept of, you have your regular season, you have your playoffs, you have your free agency, you have your draft, and then boom, you're back into spring training and so over again. In soccer, you're playing all year round, mind you. You have a break in the summer for international play, same with the winter, but like essentially the regular season is split into the fall, it's split into the spring, and yeah, and I mean, and also what's very fascinating about Europe is that they don't have a playoff system. It's just whoever's the best record in the league by the end of the season, you're the champion. And with like a Champions League, they take all the champions of around
hmm
Europe and put them in a special tournament. They have a round robin, they have a playoff, and then whoever wins the single game knockout becomes the champion. And I could see where sure you have the Olympics of the world, but maybe like on a rotating schedule where 2 years between the Olympics you have like the European NBA and the FIBA NBA Invitational where you
yep,
have the top four teams in the FIBA league versus the final four teams of the NBA playoffs, and they all go up against each other, do a special Champions League like show off, and then
yep.
boom, you have the official world champion of basketball. And I mean, I'm just throwing
Yeah, you could do that.
free
You could
ideas
do
there, I'm
that.
Silver. I'm free ideas. I mean, I know you're a big fan of the show, but like, it's ideas. I'm sure they're already thinking about it, but it's looking like 2027 is when
hmm
anything will be actually set into motion. But until then, it looks very real.
that's just a really interesting thing. So kudos to them. They go international, and then for our last thing, last topic, I just want to mention two games as we're getting. I mean, we're what 3 games away from the NBA playoffs. We just had two crazy games. We had a Hawks versus Knicks game. Then Hawks being the number one seed, Hawks being the number 5 seed in the East. It looks like they're going to keep that, and the Knicks being number 3 seed in the East. And then you had a Spurs versus Nuggets game. The 2 and 3 teams in the West, Wemby versus Jokic. Now I won't go too crazy in this Hawks and Knicks game. Obviously, it's a really good game. Knicks won by 3 off of a buzzer beater that didn't get off of CJ McCollum's hand within a millisecond, basically. By point one, he was getting it off, and buzzer went off, and he was still on his fingertips. I mean, not much you can do. But man, the Hawks, man, we've talked about a good amount. They've had a good year, but for them to have that type of game against the Knicks, end of the season, looks like they'll be the number 5 seed, which means they face the Cavs. I think they beat the Cavs first round. They could have. I'm not gonna say they're gonna go deeper than that, but it's respect on the Hawks name this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're the classic feisty team, getting hot at the perfect time, and when they're firing on all cylinders, like they don't have like, I feel like when it came to the whole Trey Young situation, it really just seemed like people didn't like playing with him. And
Yeah.
Trey Young kind of had this whole egotistical sense where this is his team, you have to play through him, and no one else can really get the shine that they can. But Jalen Johnson now, on the other hand, has not only put up the stats, but now moves the ball well. McCollum's been a great vet
Hmm.
presence that he's very capable dude. And Nikhil Alexander Walker, I mean, he's just like I feel like I should have known this fact. It's very funny that I find out that he's related to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
Found out in the
when
playoffs last year. Funny enough, when they said it, I was like, oh, okay.
maybe yeah. And like I mean again, for years Nikhil Alexander Walker has been a pretty much relevant player, so that probably also explains it. I probably should have known considering they both have super long names on the back of their jerseys that that they're
Yeah.
related. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm looking at this Knicks team, and they just don't seem to be, working well together. They kind of seem to be stuck in their own ways. And, I mean, like, I think Jalen Brunson is just very set on being the one guy. Cat is kind of like that log at the second spot where he'll give you 20 points one game, he'll give you a dud another game.
Yeah.
He's just never the consistent guy you need to be a true sidekick. And they have a lot of defense, but if you're not scoring the ball and you're not, and you're not stopping the other team, all your defense is nice and all if you don't have any way to back it up. And if you're gonna rely on Jalen Brunson every game, they're obviously gonna game plan around Jalen Brunson to get the ball out of his hands and force other guys to win the game for you, which isn't a recipe for this Knicks team. Like I can't point at any other guy on the Knicks to say, okay, they're gonna take over the game when Brunson's not going well. While the Hawks are very much like one guy will have a great game one day, another guy will have a great game another day, and they all somehow mend in some way to
Hmm.
make something work. I don't think that's a recipe to go deep, but I think they could very surprise and upset some people where maybe they could go on a second round run or
And when you
depending
have
on where
somebody
they
like
fall.
Nick Alexander Walker, very good defending point guard. So when you have that and you have to face somebody like the Knicks, who their number 1 option is Jalen Brunson, you have your point guard who can play defense. That that can make a big issue on teams because again, that's the number 1 guy, and your point guard is the best defender on your team. It's just
Yeah.
when you have somebody who's at a guard who can play defense like that. Again, I bring up the Pacers a lot, but we had Nimhard. Nimhard's a great defender, so when you have a guard who can
Mhm.
lock down another guard, that that can take you a lot. That can take you far, at least.
Yeah, I mean to be more specific, he is a shooting guard, but you have Dyson Daniels, that's also a great point guard
Yeah,
that is one of the best defending guards. So
yeah.
you have a 1 through 5 amazing defense. You go Dyson Daniels, you go Nikhil Alexander Walker, you put Jalen Johnson at the three. I'm
Well,
not quite
normally
sure
they
who
put
their four guys.
Ricochets at the 3 and Johnson's at the
Oh
4.
yes, 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 yes. Okay, Ricochet's at the three, which I
Mm-hmm.
mean he's fine, and then Onyeka Okongwu is a very solid center. He's not elite around the rim, but he's still more than serviceable and has came up huge in a lot of games. So, I mean, I definitely do think the Hawks are trending up and the Knicks are trending down, and then with the Nuggets Spurs game, I mean that's just like I
A
feel like
magnet series. between them.
I haven't given the Nuggets the credit they deserve because I mean I definitely felt like I've been very much like, oh, the West is a two-team kind of run where you have the Spurs, you have the Thunder, and everybody else is fighting for the spots after. But seeing Jokic, the way he lumbers down the court, goes 23.9 seconds before it throws up some impossible shot over Wemby, the friggin' go ahead where Wemby's
Hmm.
shocked, like how the hell does that shot go down? But Jokic is just amazing at that. And I mean, as far as just a one-man wrecking crew, I mean, Jokic is just has a perfect mixture of size and finesse and everything, where he doesn't need to care because he's just so perfectly talented
He's
that
just so good
he just imposes his will. And even someone like Wemby can't out physical him. Like Wemby can out
because he's
physical a lot of
huge.
guys.
Jokic is huge. That's a huge guy.
Yeah,
The same
yeah,
with
it's a different
Luca
type of
at the
huge.
guard. So like,
Because yeah, I mean, I gotta look up Jokic's weight, but I'd be very surprised he's not pushing 300 pounds at this point because he's just an absolute unit. Like Wemby's 7'4" big, but Jokic is 284 pounds huge. So like it's just two different types of huge.
and he's still
And
like
then
about 7 foot at the same time still. So
yeah,
like,
he's still 7 foot. Yeah. So I mean, and I do think the Nuggets just have all the talent around them where, Jamal Murray has been he has a very clear and definite role on that Nuggets team
mhm.
to pick up the slack for Jokic to be that real sidekick. And then Aaron Gordon, I mean, a year after year, he just
Hey,
somehow
that
gets
first game of the
better and
season,
better. I mean he just I don't know how he does it because I mean I remember like we were reminiscing about him being in the dunk competition and being very surprising back then, and that was only when he was only like barely coming off the
yeah,
bench and wasn't even a real starter yet, and then he became a starter, and even then he
it was okay.
only averaged 17 at his best. But like you look at him this year, he's close to his peak in points there. And defense, he's still solid. I mean, he's not like elite defensively. He does a little bit of everything. Like, he could assist, he could rebound when he needs to. But like they just have, that's the beauty of longevity with a team where you just all understand where your place is on the team,
Yep.
and you could just flourish. And Jokic is just again one of those players that could bring you to the promised land. Like the Nuggets could very well just run through the West again if Jokic is on a tear. Plain and
Yeah.
simple.
This game, the Nuggets, like I said, Nuggets won 136-134 in overtime. Mentioning Jokic hit the game-winning shot on Wemby. And when you look at the stat lines, we mentioned Wemby. He wasn't even playing, full games. This game, Wemby played 40 minutes against the Nuggets, and he
Mhm.
had 34 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 assists. And Jokic still beats him
Mhm.
because Jokic, in his 44 minutes, dropped off of 40 points, dropped 8 rebounds and 13 assists. And again, that's with Jokic on him. That's with Wemby on him the entire game.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like I mean, that's also it is a beauty. I think what makes Jokic so special is his court vision. It's he's so big in the paint, you can't box him out. If he could see where the board is falling. If you don't beat him to the spot, he's rolling you over and grabbing the ball. And then again, he's just so amazing at shooting that he could just back you down, wear you out, oh, fade away, and then just boom, it's it. And you couldn't contest it because you're falling on the floor,
it's one
trying
of
to
those.
friggin' hold him up. And
If
yeah,
Wemby can't stop him, nobody, nobody's stopping it, man.
I mean, I don't know if you caught the last shot that Wemby tried to take to try to like that to try to like go ahead at the
Mhm.
end, but like he was literally falling out of bounds and somehow still flicked the wrist and hit the rim that otherwise no one else in a million years would have even
Yeah,
tried to shoot. But considering how like Wemby has an 8 foot wingspan, so he could literally fall sideways out of bounds, still keep the ball inbounds, and still shoot it and make it look like a good shot. Like so, it's
yeah.
like I mean, like having a Wemby Jokic matchup would be so many viewers, so many people would want to tune in and watch that matchup. I think that would be the best series if they were to go up against each other.
And if they do, who do you have winning that series? Spurs or Nuggets?
I mean, the knee-jerk reaction is to say the Nuggets, but I've been a firm on the side of the Spurs. Um, but really, I mean, again, if I'm going by core principles of basketball, Jokic just has the veteran, experience, and he's been there, done that, and that means a lot. Like,
Yeah.
this is the real first playoff run for Wemby, and history doesn't fare too well for stars in their first playoff runs. Typically, even if they do go the distance, they still fall short just by, just not being there and not understanding when you're at your lowest, when you're having your struggles, how to turn around and win the game despite your struggles. Like, that takes a couple seasons. And like
Yeah.
someone like Anthony Edwards, he's one of the most talented dudes in the league. He's had his playoff runs. He's fallen just short of the NBA Finals,
Hmm.
but it takes a couple years, even with all the talent in the world around you, to finally make that run. And I mean, like it would be very close. My mind says the Nuggets, my heart says the Spurs, but I do think the Nuggets could take them in seven because
Yeah.
they took the Thunder to seven last year. You know?
Hey, the Spurs, but the Spurs can beat the Thunder too. So like, it's really close. Unfortunately, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm really rooting for the Spurs in that series. I really want the Spurs to win it, but Jokic in 7 games, it's just you have to beat them because the Spurs would have home court advantage. You have to beat them before 7 games. You don't want to go 7 games with them. You have to end it game 5, game 6. You go game 7 with the Nuggets. You just don't want that situation. And again,
Yeah,
it's
no.
Jokic. It's just they do this every year. So,
Every
but
time. And I mean,
yeah,
sorry, one more thing. It was like, keep in mind, I think this is Wemby's last year of like not being the face of the league, but this will be Wemby's league starting next year for the foreseeable future. So I think if there's going to be any year for Wemby to fall short and the Nuggets to maybe put up their last championship for the foreseeable future, I think this has to be the year,
I
no
got
doubt.
you, man. Yeah. Yes, wrapping up, man. Gotta wrap up this episode of the Pull the Trail podcast. But man, we got 3 games left in NBA season. So next week we will be in the playoffs. The play-in is basically set. I mean, in the West, your play-in is gonna be the Warriors, Trailblazers, Clippers, and Suns. Timberwolves just put the beat down on the Pacers, of course. So they're not gonna be in the play-in now. So that is your play-in tournament for the West. And then on the Eastern Conference side, you got the Heat, Magic, Hornets, and 76ers, possibly the Raptors. The East is still a little
Yeah.
bit of a toss up of who's going to be in the play in. Unless the Hawks lose some games, I think they have the number 5 spot. They have 2 games left. They have 2 games above the next team. So unless they just go on a 3-game losing streak, which I don't see that happening, the Hawks have that 5 spot. But Raptors, 76ers, and Hornets and Magic can all still kind of switch. Your Heat gonna be there, most likely your last seed though. So we still got 3 games left. We still have a little bit of toss up of how the Eastern playing tournament is gonna be, but your Western playing tournament is set. So stay tuned next week. That's it. We'll be in NBA playoffs. We'll talk about the play-in tournament. Talk about our predictions of how we think the playoffs are gonna set up. Obviously, Dylan's got his Celtics, so he's got his team to be rooting for in this playoffs. I just get to sit back because last year was my year. Last year was my year. I got to really watch. This year, I just get to kind of see how it works. I am rooting for these new teams. I'll say that. I like the Hawks. I like the Hornets. So in the East, that's what I'm really looking for. I don't think either one of those teams are going far, but like I'll be watching them at least. In the West, it's a toss up in the West, man. Obviously, you got the Thunder,
Yeah.
but Nuggets, Spurs. You can't really sleep on the Timberwolves. They're a good team. So
It's a rare year of the Eastern Conference being better than the Western Conference because I feel like it's always the other way around. And you could see some of these playing teams giving it a problem to the
yeah,
Pistons, especially the Pistons. But like the Celtics, maybe not so much. But if depending on who the Pistons line up against, it could very well be a first round exit. So I mean, it's definitely exciting to see how things land, and who knows? I mean, the Raptors could very well be in the play-in, and considering how they've been pretty much playoff bound the whole year, to fall
yeah.
apart like this is tragic for them.
So yeah, definitely stay tuned. Next week we should be back on Monday. We only were missed Monday because I mean national championship was happening at the same time, so not gonna compete with the national championship. But stay tuned next week Monday at 9 o'clock for the Pull the Chat podcast on the Grid Network.